Pro Football Weekly is previewing the offseason for all 32 teams. Right now we're looking at the Super Bowl champion New York Giants. And Eric, Mario Manningham really made a name for himself in the Super Bowl. He made that huge catch, and now he's a free agent. Pretty good timing anyways. Do you think that he's going to cash in big on the open market?
Yeah, the good news about winning the Super Bowl is you're kind of in the catbird seat, and they don't have a ton of questions. If this is their most pressing issue, I think they're in pretty good shape. So Manningham is the kind of guy who's always had a sort of an inflated self-image a little bit and believes he's a number 1 or number 2 receiver. I don't think the Giants picture him that way. And if they're going to have to pay Victor Cruz down the line, he's already made a play for wanting more money, I would say they would let Manningham test the market. If there isn't a big one, there's a ton of receivers on the free agent market. He could come back in that number 3 role. Otherwise, he was a disappointment prior to the playoffs. 3 touchdowns the first 3 games, and then the big performance in the Super Bowl. I bet you someone else pays for him.
I think people expected him to put up the numbers that Cruz ended up putting up. You figure now he's maybe expendable. That offensive line held up pretty well in the playoffs. What do you expect to happen with that in the offseason?
Yeah, it was a big story before last year, losing guys like O'Hara and Rich Soybert. They were kind of the rocks along the line. The next one who could go, I think, is Kareem McKenzie, the right tackle. He looked a little broken down. They had to help him out with protections and things like that. So his back's been a problem for a number of years. I think he'll either retire or move to another team. And they've got some options on the roster. Dave Deal can move to right tackle. They had Will Beatty go down in the middle of the season. He could be their left tackle. So that might be the biggest change, but don't be shocked if David Boss, the center, gets a little pressure from somebody else.
It seems like that's an area that in years past it kind of had a lot of consistency. This is the first year with some changes, but seemed to work out pretty well. We know when a team wins the Super Bowl, a lot of times they get rated by the rest of the league for their free agents. We already talked about Manningham. Who are some other guys that may be able to cash in on the Super Bowl?
I think the first one is Aaron Ross, the nickel cornerback. A good player, had a very good sound year. He stood up when a lot of guys got injured around him, including Terrell Thomas, who's a free agent. I think the Giants are more inclined to bring Thomas back than they are Ross. They've got Prince Amukamara on the roster, first-round pick. They want him to move into that nickel role, or at least be one of their top 3 DBs. So I think that Ross could end up signing for starters money elsewhere. Not a ton of other guys. Chase Blackburn maybe attracts some attention for the way he played down the stretch, and they have drafted a lot of young linebackers too.
Yeah, it seems like they're in pretty good position for a repeat performance, considering that they just won and people are going to want their guys. Not a ton of guys to choose from on that Giants team. That's a look at the Giants this offseason. For the best coverage of the league, check us out at ProFootballWeekly.com.
It's never too early to start thinking about the NFL Draft, and Pro Football Weekly's new draft database has you covered. Check out updated player rankings for over 750 prospects and our exclusive PFW Stock Watch. Just go to the Draft tab at ProFootballWeekly.com.